Hello YouTube, it's Atticus. The long-awaited game versus Luca is here. I know it's taken forever, but yeah, it is here, ladies and gentlemen. So we have a Empire versus, what is this team called? It's Norsca, but the Throgs faction. So yeah, Middelheim versus something. But yeah, Empire versus Norsca. So yeah, this is a very good one. It's been really built up, so yeah, let's go ahead and just jump into it, guys. So, leading my army, we do have Boris Todbringer, and I'm putting him on foot. I wanted him to be able to get his debuffs and to not suffer from Throg. Yeah, since Throg is the pretty much only lord that you could take in this army, I figured that I don't want to take a large lord. I want to take somebody on foot so Throg wouldn't get his anti-large bonus. So yeah, we're going to try him. We're going to see if Boris can actually hold up. He does have some pretty good buffs, like the regeneration. And he also has a debuff, which will lower people by like 5, like 9 is it altogether. Maybe, I guess just 5. Melee defense, melee attack, and leadership. So it's pretty, pretty handy. For my front line, guys, we have a bunch of halberdiers and greatswords. So the halberdiers deal with trolls, and the greatswords deal with marauder champions and things like that. These guys have their really good anti-infantry bonus and should be able to stomp them on a one-on-one battle. You can see that I also have another secondary unit of halberdiers in the back, so I'm really planning for a lot of anti-large. That is obviously one of the keys to how Norsca wins. So hopefully these guys will be able to stay in the fight long enough to do some damage and not die. For my caster, we do have a Jade Wizard for my spells. They're pretty standard Regrowth and Earthblood. So, yeah, we're just going to try to keep my guys alive and hopefully do some damage. Then we also have some Pistoliers, guys, and I brought these just to be a counter to Ice Wolves and Norscan Ice Wolves and the Marauder Horse Masters and things like that. Those guys can fire while moving, and they're pretty good against unarmored troops. You can see I also have a unit of Demigriffs with Halberds right over here, and I thought I had one more. Yeah, right over here. So 2 of them in total. So we have a whole bunch of anti-large, guys. So I was really expecting it. But you can see right here, my opponent does have a pretty good counter to that. Luca did bring some Marauder Berserkers, which will absolutely just shred through Halberdiers. So yeah, it's going to be a good game, guys. So that's my build. Let's go ahead and look at my opponents here. Luca brought Throg, the Troll King. See if he brought his Breath Attack. So I think that is the Breath Attack, right? Yep, looks like the Breath Attack and his Fight or Die mechanic. We also do have a Belfiend of Shadows with the spells Miasma, Feebling Foe, and Pendulum. So yeah, really dangerous spell loadout, one that I like to bring a lot myself. For his front line, he has some Marauders right here to just kind of soak up some of the damage. But the real killing power of his army is obviously going to be these Marauder Berserkers, and these guys will give a really good fight to the Halberdiers. Now versus Greatswords, I would be curious who'd win, because the Greatswords do have an anti-infantry bonus as well, but these guys have the Rage mechanic. They get stronger as they fight. So I think I'd probably give it to the Marauder Berserkers. I mean, they have 15 armor versus, let's go with the Greatswords armor here, versus 95. I don't know. It would be a good fight. I'd be curious to see how it goes. But also supporting that, he does have 2 units of Norscan Ice Trolls on this side and 2 on this side. So a lot of killing power, and more importantly, it's going to be a lot of slowing power. So it's going to be hard for me to get my my Demigriffs away. He also has a Frostworm, which will have really good breath attacks. And, yeah, he also has 2 units of Norscan Ice Wolves on each flank right here. So, alright guys, let's go ahead and jump into this and see how it goes. So right off the bat, as Sherlock Holmes said to Motorati, is that how you say it? Something like that. We're going to start advancing, guys. We're going to start using my Pistoliers to try to screen out these guys. And, yeah, we're going to really want to use my Halberdiers to screen out the Ice Trolls. So it's really going to come down to this initial placement right here. I need to keep these guys alive. You can see they're automatically going to be getting slowed by these Halberdiers. And instantly my opponent is trying to get his Berserkers into those guys. So right here, these guys are going to be fighting alone. I don't have any support, which is a little bit unfortunate. These units are going to be very heavily outnumbered. I don't have any grenade launchers or things like that can support them. But yeah, we're just going to go ahead and try to get into this big pocket of engagements right here. And with the Demigriffs of Halberds, I was really hoping that, I could turn the tide. So yeah, our front lines are going to start to collide right here, guys. You can see that the Demigriffs right here are going to get a Miasma cast on them. They're going to get a hit with a Breath Attack. And within seconds, these guys are taken down to about half health. Now, I do have the Halberdiers here coming to support, but yeah, that's a lot of damage. So we just got this really huge mosh pit. Unfortunately, we're getting hit in the behind by these Marauder Berserkers. And yeah, I do have my leadership coming to support. I do have a unit of Great Swords, Boris, my Jade Wizard, and the Pistoliers who are going to be able to shoot into some of these Norscan Ice Wolves. And we are able to break them. But unfortunately, we're getting terror routed to hit in the back by the Frostworm. So this little pocket right here is going to be dead before the reinforcements can even come to support. Over here, the Demigriffs with halberds, these ones are just not doing good, unsupported. They don't cause terror. You can't use them when you're playing Middelheim. But yeah, these guys are just taking so much damage to low-tier units like Norscan Ice Wolves. Now, I do have these Halberdiers mixed in with these Norscan Ice Trolls. And just from, like, appearances, you would think that you would have an advantage. You would think that anti-large, we should be able to beat these guys. But that's not the case, especially with the support of these Marauders who are going to be able to come here pretty shortly. Let's go ahead and speed it back up, guys. So, yeah, we're just right here in this big mosh pit. That's the downside of bringing a Footlord. You can see Boris is just slowly starting to walk in there. Yeah, they're just really slow. It takes a really long time to reposition, and it is what it is. So right here in this middle pocket, guys, there's just a lot going on. You can see that it looks like there's going to be a regrowth casted on my Demigriffs. I kind of lost it, but my opponent, Luca, gets a really devastating pendulum right here, which is going to break 2 units of my Halberdiers. So that's really unfortunate. Over here, you can see the Great Swords are fighting these Marauder Berserkers. We're actually doing really good against them. But yeah, now my 2 Halberdier units just crumbled within seconds, guys. It is really crazy, which means that there's all this damage right here, and I don't have any anti-large support really to deal with them. Over on this side, though, we did break his pocket. We broke the Norscan Ice Trolls, but keep in mind, these guys will heal. And I do have this, unit right here that are freed up, but they have such a long way to traverse. I have no mobility. So, if they were fast, like, mounted cav or something, I could send them over here to probably reinforce this army and maybe have a chance. But yeah, you can see my Pistoliers are actually doing really good. They're shooting into these Marauder Berserkers. These guys have 15 armor, so obviously they're going to be able to break really quickly. And I think Pistoliers are a really good option in this matchup. Over here, you can see that Boris is going to start fighting Throg. Throg will not be getting the benefits of his anti-large. You can see my Jade Wizards mixed among here as well. And yeah, all his Berserkers and troops like that are starting to enrage. Now, I don't have any infantry support. My 2 Leadership Lords are totally exposed and by themselves. So yeah, you can see Balance of Power is already starting to drift into Luca's favor. And I think that's what's really biting me in the butt, guys. I just have no mobility. I have 2 different armies fighting on 2 different fronts, and there's no way for them to reinforce each other. It'd probably have been wiser of me to maybe stay together so that they can at least be able to provide some overwatch for each other. Over here, these Great Swords are actually trading pretty good against these Marauder Berserkers. Even though these guys are outraged, they're getting shot in the back by the Pistoliers. And you can see I have 2 full health units of Halberdiers making the long trek, coming here trying to reinforce my my Lord. Now Boris, granted, is doing pretty good. He's fighting well, amongst all these troops. He's hardly taken any damage. He does get an Enfeebling Foe cast on him by the Famir Balefiend. But yeah, you can see the leadership's already tanking for me, guys. You can see the Great Swords right here are fighting amongst the Marauders. But yeah, Balance of Power is really starting to come into Luca's favor. And I just don't have enough damage to be able to really deal with Luca. And you can see he gets a devastating pendulum right here on these 2 Halberdiers. And yeah, it's really spelling the doom for me, guys. All these troops that I had actually beat in the initial engagement, they're just healing now. Look how fast they are. They have a lot more mobility. And yeah, my troops now are just coming up here and getting beat up. You see, we have no answer for this Frostworm. It's breaking the last unit of Halberdiers on this right flank. These Great Swords, thankfully are fighting to the very end. Boris has actually put up a pretty good fight. I'm really surprised by how tanky he is. Big part of that is when he gets knocked down. He can't take damage. But yeah, it's really going to take short of a miracle for me to be able to pull this off. You can see the Pistoliers are doing their job to screen out the Ice Wolves. These guys get shot right in the face. They'll never be able to catch the Pistoliers. But once this, reinforcements of Luca come back to the main engagement, there's not really going to be nothing we can do. And you can see we are able to break some of his units. We're having a little bit of a last-ditch fight right here. I'm starting to get my hopes up, like, all right, maybe we can pull this back, especially now that we have Throg surrounded by all this anti-large. But this Frostworm is just waiting for an opportunity to get another breath attack. And yep, there it is right there. I knew it was coming. You can see that just is devastating. Look at that big pocket of just dead troops from that Frostworm. So yeah, that's pretty brutal. You can see he isn't going to land in on those guys who were not braced for the charge. They were facing the wrong direction. You can see all these troops, every time we break them, they just run away, and it allows them to heal. And yeah, you can see that Boris, I think, has another Enfeebling Foe cast on him. Trying to get my cursor on it. Yeah. So yeah, Luca's doing a very good job of using his spells, and that's just going to be an end for the Empire and a win for Norsca. So let's go to look at the in-screen breakdown and talk some of the keys for Luca's success. And the number one that comes to mind was lack of mobility. 2 would be splitting my forces up. I had one army fighting on the left, one fighting on the right. There was no way for them to reinforce each other. And yeah, I mean, he has a lot more mobility. Trolls are a lot faster. You have these ice wolves, and even the berserkers are a lot faster. And my troops, yeah, I mean, they were just slow, cumbersome, and they were able to get picked apart. And yeah, I was actually really disappointed by these demigryphs. I mean, they're unsupported. They're just not that good. You really need to have some kind of Lord support, some spell support, maybe even some Empire Knights mixed upon among them to take the damage. But yeah, I really thought with all this anti-large, there was no way I'd be able to get beaten by an army that's majority. What's the word I'm looking for? Primarily large, but yeah, you saw how Luca did it. He was able to use his speed to his advantage and did really good with the spells, especially his pendulums and the breath attack. So, all right, good game to Luca. Sorry it took so long to get this to you, buddy, but I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you guys like this. Stay tuned for more content. It's Atticus. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye now.